Right, we're going to start with a new job. So this is first of a box of 10 that's come in from I think he's in Suffolk. He comes up personally with a bucket load. He comes up the road with a bucket load of radios. And I could do with something to open this parcel with. I'd hate to damage the gift box inside if it's in a gift box. Yes, it is. Perhaps I've opened this upside down. Oh, it's a Yourk. Oh! It's a Yourk 863. Right, so I think we'll leave the mic in there. That is the original Yourk mic. We'll use the standard replacement mic, and then when it comes to do the deviation, we'll just make sure it's the same with that. Well, that's in nice condition. Well, I'll tell you what, we'll do a test as it comes. So I'll plug our equipment in. I've got 5 minutes. I said to Mr. Chippy, just gives me time to make a start on the next CB radio. There's our side, there's our route plan. Oh, it's this side, is it? Switch it on. Put the power supply on at 9 volts, 200 milliamps, just to make sure that we're actually connected. We're not connected. Yeah, that's fine. So full voltage 13.8. So I'll get a piece of paper. What's this? That's Wilsford hymns for this Sunday. What's this? Forthcoming funeral next week. What's this? Oh, that's done with. Email from the vicar. Yourk. I'm not going to press on and wreck this case. Here we go. So, let's switch picture in picture on. And let's put the position where I want it to be, which is there. I'll press transmit. And we're on the 3 watt scale. And it is 2.8 watts at 13.8 volts. 2.8 watts. Let's look at the frequency. We'll go over to that. And it should be 27.979. Oh, we're not on the right channel. I'll tell you what, we'll check that power again now. I'll just check that. It is 2.9 watts on channel 20. And the frequency is 27.79102, so it's not miles out and it's not illegally out, so we'll be able to pull that up. Deviation is probably going to be low. Low, it's 1.4. So the receive, I'll set the signal generator to the same frequency as the radio is working on, so 27.79 102. So deliberately off frequency, just like the radio is, because it's a totally fair receiver test. I think that's going to be pretty close. Right, let's go over to the SINAD meter. Let's make sure the controls are in the right place. RF gain now up. And it's very respectable. It's like 0.499 microvolts. So we'll say it's 0.5 microvolts for 12 dB SINAD. So there's our initial test. And then we'll know whether we've fixed it worse. So I'll switch it off, take the bottom off, I was going to check PA while we were like we were. Pretty immaculate, considering it's 40 years old. Can't see anything silly. Let's pop it into PA mode. Testing 1 2, testing 1 2. Absolutely fine. It's done with that. And it's on the mic gain control on these radios. Right, we'll start with the VCO. So we want to be on channel 40. See how much of this I can remember without getting the service manual out. First thing I need to remember is to borrow Mr. Chippy's crocodile clip lead. So resistor 4 far end. Should be 4 volts, shouldn't it? Didn't get very far. Yeah, it's 4 volts. So in receive it should be 4 volts. Well, you know, it doesn't need adjusting, but we're here for a demonstration, so we'll just turn that. You know, it's like hardly a movement, that. And then want to check on transmit, it's also 4 volts. It's 4.9, that's a little high. So if we don't do this, you can end up with channels missing in dodgy temperatures. Right, go back to receive, still 4 volts. Now we go to channel 1 and check that it's somewhere between 1.9 and 2.4. That's transmit. Yeah, it's absolutely fine. So it didn't really need doing, but we're demonstrating it anyway, so. Thank you, Mr. Chippy, for your crocodile clip lead. Yeah, I know we need to do a field test with that Cobra SOS emergency. We're working that out with a different camera, to be honest. Transmit. remembering to go to channel 20. So we're now on the 30 watt scale, so 4 watts is just there, so it's just under the 4 watts at the moment. Just need to make sure everything's peak. That was fine. That's fine. That's come up a fraction. Then we need to maximise. Where has the expensive plastic trimmer gone? It's there. So maximum. You've got to be really quick with this iron key between the adjustments, because it can't cope with this level of power without damaging the PA. So it's actually gone up to about 4.7. I'm just going to run through these again, make sure we are at peak, because they are interactive. So it's clockwise on the yellow one for 4.4 watts. So there we are at 4.4 watts, and then it's anti-clockwise on the green one. So they say 3.8 watts, but we're doing it for 4, which is the legal limit. They have to get their sets through customs, and that's why they're set at 3.8. Nothing changes, except these days the radios rarely go over 3.6, whatever they tell you about them doing a zillion watts on the box. So there we are, spang on, bang on the 4 watts. Now we like it to be within 0.1 at each end of the band. So channel 40, it's like 3.99 watts. Channel 1, it's like 4.01 watts. So it's very, very well balanced, that. Good. Well, that's that done. So we'll do the meter, which is there. And the meter is banging across. So there we are on the 4. Now low power should be 0.4. Switch the test set into low power mode. So now 3 watts is full scale deflection, 0.4 is there. It's 0.32, we'll just pop that up a fraction. It's a little bit dirty, they do tend to be. So I'll just waggle that around with the service oil cleaner. Sometimes you find one which won't do it at all and it needs the control replacing. There we are, dead on. So whilst we're in this position, let's go over to the frequency display and we'll get the radio on frequency. Very, very slightly high. It's because they drop with age, so that's excellent. So that's now 4 watts. That's now 27,79126. Let's look at deviation. So I want the vertical one to be in its central position. This is kind of a feedback control. You've got, and I find with experience that's whatever the manual says, that's the best way to have that set. And then we'll concentrate on that one for the deviation. We'll just look at where we are now for the deviation, because it will have altered. That one. 1, 2, it's too, it's still too quiet by a long way. So get the little oscillator out and bring that up to 2. And Mr. Chippy's round the door with a camcorder. Has the net started? Is it Wednesday night net? Well, you'd hear it. Whoa, look, that's too loud, man. Too loud. Let's try it there. Whoa, that's spot on. So 2.2 to 2.2 average and 2.5 absolute maximum. Oh, you got that monitor paired? Yeah. Yeah, he's got a remote monitor for the cameras. Probably see it better than I can on this LCD one. I wish somebody did a HDMI to S-video converter box, so I could actually watch this mixer on a CRT monitor, so I could actually see it instead of me being on an angle. Right, so having diversified and having set all that, we have done transmit. Right, we'll go over to receive. So on receive, we're going to start with the detector, which is on that camera. We want an S9 equivalent signal, just so I've got a whacking great big thing on my oscilloscope. These are dead basic oscilloscopes. These happen to be new a year ago. These are Conga Wonga Bonga or some other brand you've never heard of, ST16Cs. They're 10 meg oscilloscope. They could just as easily be 1 meg oscilloscope. We've got one of these kit-built 15 quid LCD meters from AliExpress in China, and this will work just as well. So we're only looking at audio. You don't need to have some £500 oscilloscope that does 30 megs or more. You just don't need to do that because you're not looking at that. So detector, maximum recovered audio. You know what? I was spot on. Already spot on. Over to the SINAD meter, and let's see whether we can get a bit better than the 0.5 microvolts, which is nothing wrong with that at all. Let's see whether we can get a bit better out of it. So I want about a 4 dB signal on there and go through the front end. Wow. Well, it may be new in box type of thing, but it's just come up fantastically. It's going to be as good as a Binance own 5-star at this rate. That's not made much difference. Put the biggest signal on for the IF. That's improved it too. Wouldn't expect that to be out. And there's the hidden one under the wiring. That's spot on. Just going to go back on the first one. Let's just read off what we've now got. Wow. Put the attenuator on. So we're at 1, we're at 0.24 for 12 dB SINAD. That's fantastic. What an excellent set. I mean, sometimes you get these and they won't do much better than 0.9 of a microvolt. They're not faulty, it's just tolerance on components. So it's now 0.24 microvolts. So we've done that. So we'll do the S meter. So put an S9 equivalent signal, which on a CB radio in the UK is an FM CB radio, because that's all we deal in, is 100 microvolts. It's just shy of the 9, so we'll just pop that up a fraction, otherwise it might get reported as having a lazy needle. I like it best when they don't have meters. Like most of my ham gear is ex-business radios and no meters. Great, suits me. You're loud and clear. I don't need to say 5 and 9 old bean. Right, squelch. We'll turn the squelch to full, and I want it to be 100 microvolts on my attenuator here when that opens. So 1, 3, 10, 30, 100. It's spot on, just how I want it. But if it wasn't, is the preset just there? So that didn't need touching. So we're going to check the squelch at the other end. I've put the signal generator to standby. I've parked it at 0.3 of a microvolt. We're going to turn down the squelch on the radio and switch the signal generator back on. See when it comes in. It's coming in at 0.76 of a microvolt and leaving about 0.69. I always say they're not the best squelch in the world on these, but they're a competent squelch. So that's it. That's the quickest ever. I'll have to knock him 10p off. Yeah, that's it. It doesn't even need the volume control spraying or anything like that. So we'll pop the lid back on that. Oh, we'll be scratchy cornering this tomorrow. I'm in the middle of editing the scratchy corner for the Audioline 340. It's taking ages to process. I think I've got the camera on the wrong resolution. Probably got it on Blockbuster Cinema mode or something. Turn the test set off, then we won't have to hear it going through its times tables. And put these screws in, pop it on the aerial. It's about 8:15 in the evening. I don't know what I'm doing working at this time, but you know, when you're self-employed, you choose your hours. That's the meter telling me that I should turn it off, and I haven't. But put it back on the shelf on. So I'm glad it does that. I'd hate to waste my PP3 batteries. And to tell you what, PP3 9-volt batteries, they're getting hard to come by. You know, you go into the usual supermarkets and there aren't really many to choose from, if any. So your AA's and AAA's are all there, but not the 9-volt ones. So I think gone are the days when everybody had a transistor radio that took a 9-volt battery. But most of these meters do, don't they? I've got some more individual cheesecakes from Aldi today, so we'll have some more plastic pots to put screws in. And to tip over, of course, and knock on the floor. So you can see it's been in the mobile bracket. It's not, you know, it's not pristine, but it's really good condition. Right, we'll swap the test equipment and the test equipment's audio lead. Just make sure the speaker's working. Yes, it is. We'll swap that for the aerial on the roof, which is an Antron 99 type. There we go. See if the bad buddies are out there. One Nana Roger. Huh. Anyone you hear on this is likely to be 35 miles away.
Food store. So, yeah, very busy railway area when I first started coming up this.
Sensible conversation. That's nice. So you've just got the 19 bucket mouths and a sensible conversation on the pot on the floor with the screws on the floor. So there we have it. A rather nice Yourk 863. And it did need a tune-up, and it's had it. Thanks for watching.